Welcome back to Conway Corp Channel 5. Mason Choate here with you. We continue our series, Where Are They Now? Looking at former Wampus Cats playing college football right now. And up next, we got redshirt junior Auburn long snapper Reed Hughes, class of 2020, Conway. Reed, we got to start, though, because the last time, between the time that you left Conway and went to Auburn, your dad has become the athletic director. So what's that like to have your dad as the AD of the Wampus Cats?
Man, I'm just proud of him. He's been in the Conway program for 22 years now. I'm 23 years old, so it's been 22 years. And he's worked his way from the bottom to the top. And I as a former Wampus Cat, I'll always be a Wampus Cat. To see him just work through the levels and keep at it, it's inspiring. And from a father son perspective, he's setting a good example for me of if you work hard enough and where you're at, doesn't matter your situation, you can get to where you want to be. And I'm just proud of him, man. It's something that he's always dreamed of, and he's gotten there, and it's really cool to see.
Now, I don't realize, I don't think a lot of Arkansas people realize that when the Razorbacks were playing Auburn, it was an Arkansan, as a long snapper for the Tigers. What's it like, playing your in-state team of the Razorbacks, but also, you're playing SEC football. Not a lot of former Wampus Cats go and play in the SEC.
Right. So, the games like the Iron Bowl to me, being at Auburn, huge. When we play UGA, huge. But, playing Arkansas always means a little bit more to me. And so when you see the Arkansas across the sideline, I always just have a little bit more fire in me, want to stick it to them a little bit. All my buddies back home, they love to chirp at me when we're playing each other, and so it does mean a little bit more. And I'm extremely blessed to get this opportunity. Every week I jog out on the field and to be in a stadium like Jordan Hare, and I get to run out of that tunnel, turn around, and look at a packed stadium. Man, God has truly blessed me, and I'm just thankful. I'm very thankful.
So I feel like you kind of quietly committed to Auburn, and then you went there and you were reserve your first few years, and then last year you kind of earned the starting job. Now you're the guy as a long snapper. Walk us through that process of going to Auburn as this guy from Conway, Arkansas, walk on, and now you're the starting long snapper for the Tigers.
Yeah, so I took an unconventional route for long snapping. That is, I guess, because you see it nowadays. It's all about camps and going to these pay your money and get your ranking camps. I really just kind of taught myself how to snap. 10th grade year for Conway, I was 160 pounds wet and 5'9", and I thought, well, I'm not really going to get much of a shot at linebacker at this weight, so I got to teach myself to do something to get on the field. So I started learning how to long snap. Thankfully, going into my junior year, I put on about 30 pounds and grew about 4 inches, so I got a shot uh, at linebacker. But I kept developing that skill of long snapping, and I think teams kind of saw that I could be dynamic a little bit and cover down the field and snap the ball. And so I just provided a little bit of an edge there. And, coming here as a walk on and being 8 hours away from home, it was tough because, in a lot of cultures, you just kind of look over the walk ons, and that's true at a lot of places. But I found my niche, and I got in with a good group of guys, and I started earning respect, and then the snapping came along with it. You don't just earn respect and get a playing spot, but I worked on my craft, and I got better at it, and I earned the spot, and I haven't looked back, man. And it's been so much fun. I can't lie to you. My first year playing last year, um, jogging out on the field, it it's nerve wracking. You're playing in front of those intense crowds, uh, and it is nerve wracking, but it's so much fun, man. It's been so rewarding.
Yeah. So you talked about how you grew into being a linebacker at Conway. Now, on your Auburn profile, it says that you had 170 tackles your senior year. You were a two-time All-State performer, so we got to mention that. Did you actually have 170 tackles as a senior?
I did,
That's crazy, dude.
and I want to say the numbers at 177, but we might have to update the website. But
Okay.
yeah, no, it was senior year. We had me and Parker Prock and the inside linebacker duo, and man, we were thumping people. That was a lot of fun. I miss playing defense so much. I
Yeah.
do.
So, I also noticed that you changed your number from 61 to 44, which is what you wore at Conway. I assume there's a reason behind that. What does the number 44 mean to you?
Well, first things first, 44 just looks a million times more athletic than 61 does. Uh, my sophomore year, I got a chance to run down on kickoff against Western Kentucky. So I think when they saw a guy in number 61 on kickoff, they just kind of thought to themselves, I don't need to block this guy. He's number 61 for a reason. And I might have proven them to be right, but I wanted to get back to 44, one, to look more athletic, and two, it just it meant a lot to me in high school, and I just feel comfortable in it.
So you told me before we started recording that you keep in good contact with your friends from Conway. How often are you talking to guys maybe who also played for the Wabash Cats, but coming back to town, how often are you back in town, stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't get to come back as much as I'd like. I don't get to make just weekend trips because it's a good 7.5, 8 hour drive sometimes. But I'm playing video games with James Hicks and Will McKenna almost every night, and my buddies Will Hogue and Creed Bean and all those guys. I love getting back with them when I come home. So I still got my Conway roots about me, and I still bleed blue.
So James Hicks, who's playing minor league baseball now,
Oh
I,
yeah.
I can't help but remember you were probably the best player on some of those Conway baseball teams. What kind of baseball offers did you have?
I disagree with that, man. I disagree with that. I mean, I played with guys like Jordan Wicks and James Hicks and Cade Tuckers and all these guys. Now, I'd say I have a better bat than all of them. I'd
Yeah.
better than James and Jordan, and I'd like to have that on record. Um, but uh, I didn't have many baseball looks coming out of high school. I think baseball is more of a you got to go to those camps and really commit to it. And so, like I mentioned earlier, my sophomore year, I I started on the varsity team for baseball, and we kind of sat down and we were like, all right, well, you kind of need to start deciding: are you wanting to take the baseball route, or you want to take the football route, because you need to focus in on one. I wasn't saying that I was going to quit one of them, but I was going to focus in on one and try to make it to the next level. And at that moment, it's like, well, I'm a sophomore starting varsity in baseball, and I don't really have the size for football right now. So I guess I'll focus in on baseball. And then the Lord had other options for me, other plans. And yeah, no really looks for baseball at a high school, but I do miss it sometimes.
Yeah. So since you've been at Auburn, you've kind of you're the character guy now on the socials. If you look at the socials, you got running with Reed. How did that come about? And for those listening who maybe don't know what it is, you kind of explain what you do with that.
Yeah, so I've always been into the media world a little bit. In high school, I did the sports breakdown, the halftime sports report for the Conway Court broadcast. That's back when I had my mullet and everything, and I was in my prime. Um, but I've always been into the media world, and I would always go to our media team and be like, "Hey, I got this idea uh, for a video y'all could do." I think that'd be pretty funny for the fans. And one day they reached out and were like, "Hey, we have this idea. We're going to give you a microphone, and you're going to run around, and you're just going to be yourself." I was like, "Perfect. I mean, I'm all in on that." And then Running with Reed was born, and so really what I do is get a microphone, they hit record, and then I just run around and be an idiot, and that's my specialty. Uh, just try to make the players laugh, try to make the fans laugh. And it is a lot of fun, and it's opened a lot of doors for me. I've got some good connections from it, and it has helped me out. That's one thing that Auburn has been great for me is connections and building new networks and providing avenues for me through these opportunities like running with Reed.
So, what is life after football going to look like for you? I mean, are you looking at trying to go to the NFL, or what's your degree? What does that all look like for you?
So I graduated last August with a journalism degree, and then I'm in the master's program right now for communications. And so I would love in some capacity to work on TV and be a broadcaster of some sort. And if not that, then I have looked into becoming like a special teams coordinator or like an analyst for special teams right out of football, just to stay around the sport, really. Um, the NFL is obviously, I think that's everyone's dream when they come to college. And if that opportunity presents itself, then of course I jump all over it. But I am a realist, first off, and I know that the NFL only needs 32 guys to long snap. There's not really much demand for them, and there's really not a shortage of them either. So, uh, if that opportunity were to present itself, then I'd be all over it. But I'm not putting all my chickens in that basket. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of chicken, man, my last question has to be about the Nashville hot chicken contest that you
Oh
won at the
yeah.
Music City Bowl. Is that like your biggest accomplishment?
You know what? And sadly, it is. Sadly, that's the biggest accomplishment thus far. Um, but I was up against my own team and Maryland, and they're big linemen up there, and I was slamming more hot chicken than they were. So that was a pretty big accomplishment for me. I got the belt, I got the trophy, and they said before that game, uh, before we ate the chicken, they're like every team that has won the hot chicken eating contest has won the game. And so I was like, all right, time to lock in and put on for the team because we're going to win this game. Now, um, that stat has now been changed, but I won the contest.
You
That's all
did
that
your part.
I
You
did my
did your
part.
part.
I did my part.
Well, Reed Hughes, former Conway linebacker, current Auburn long snapper, class of 2020. Thanks, man. And we wish you best of luck as you continue going on in the future.
I appreciate y'all having me on, man. Go Cats.